Wondering how to turn your dreams of entrepreneurship into a reality? Take the mystery out of success, clear the fog of failures, and use speaking to create a six-figure business. Learn the success strategies of international speaker and business coach Katya Ravi. Learn business from brave to rave.
Bonjour et bienvenue to Business Rave with Katya Ravi. This is Katya Ravi with Learn Business from Brave to Rave. I am coming to you today super excited as I just got back from New York City. Now, as a French person, New York City has always been a dream and an icon. And I have to say, some of the first times that I went there, I was truly disappointed. So how is this related to business? You're probably wondering. Well, let me tell you, then this past weekend, really right around my birthday, I had the opportunity to go on an amazing speaking gig in Manhattan. And I spoke at this Business for Women Entrepreneurs Summit. And I had the opportunity to meet, first of all, amazing people. But what I realized is the speaking in my business, which is truly what I teach my client, has really afforded me a lifestyle who's priceless. Why? Well, we drove from North Carolina all the way to New York City on Thursday morning and returned the car on Thursday night. I set up my booth at the event pretty late Thursday night and was ready to speak on Friday morning. Friday all day, of course, I was busy. As a speaker, I do like to actually attend the entire event where I speak. I feel like it's respect for the organizers, respect for the other speakers, and also it's a great way to network and meet people and talk and also grow and learn from others. I don't believe I have all of the solution, and I do have coaches on my own, but just to hear different perspective and different people is always a plus. There's always something to gain out of it. And then on Friday night, of course, after we were done, we actually spent the whole weekend in New York City. Now, I'm very lucky then it was my birthday and I have the most amazing partner in life, my fiance, who's also an entrepreneur and who decided to make this entire weekend about New York City and seeing how really we can fit this lifestyle into our businesses. You see, I have 3 children. I have a 22-year-old, 17-year-old, and 14-year-old. And we're really wondering how is our life going to be when all of the kids are really out of the house. And this is kind of how we would love to have it set up. And this kind of gave us a little glimpse of what it could be like. So we did all these really great things. First of all, we looked at it. Well, let me rephrase that. I looked at how many miles we walked, and we walked 20 miles in less than 3 days. We went to the opera. I am an opera lover, and yet had never seen one live. So for my birthday, actually, my fiance gave me this amazing gift of seeing Manon Lescaut at the Met. The Lincoln Center in New York City, which was truly a gift. It was breathtaking. And, you know, when you sing your first opera, you want it to be everything and more. And that was definitely way more than everything and more. But it really made me think. So we did this on Saturday night. And then on Sunday we went, which was the actual day of my birthday. He surprised me and had an amazing picnic, gourmet picnic. Like, of course, as a French person, I can be a little bit picky about my food. So we had fromage, we had magret de canard, we had some rosé de Provence and olive and so many different kind of charcuterie to go with it. And but yet I wasn't confined into a restaurant or confined with a waiter telling me, hey, I need to leave because it's been an hour, then I'm at, my lunch or brunch. And picnicked at Central Park. And after that, we just walked around Central Park, walked around the lake, and we really started to think about how our business are set up. And we really set it up really well. And this is kind of what I want to get at today. This is so much a part of when you start your business, you really need to think about what's the future will be looking like. For us, we already knew we probably, after the kids are all out of the house, we want to probably live internationally. Since I am an entrepreneur, as a business coach, I can coach on Zoom pretty much all the time. I really don't mind the time zone difference. I can accommodate clients, whether they're on the West Coast here, as someone who's on the East Coast right now, but coaching in people who are in Europe or even as far as Australia is really not an issue. But how do we make sure then all of these are set up, and how do we set a good business model for that? And this is kind of what came out on driving back 2 days ago. We really want to, at the beginning, so right now, we have the children 50-50. So 50% of the time, I do not have my kids, which I know some of you don't have. I don't want to say that luxury because that would make it fancy, and I really don't enjoy then I do not have my kids 50% of the time. However, I do have that opportunity. So for me, I schedule all of my speaking gig pretty much when I don't have my kids. And granted, now it's only one who's left at home. But I really try not to do too much. And when I do, it's things who are local and things then where my 14-year-old can come to me. Like, for example, this weekend, I have a speaking gig in North Carolina who's all about empowering women in business. And I definitely want to take my daughter to that. So I had no problem to say yes to this speaking gig. But most of the time when I try to book, I try to book when I don't have her because she is in school, and school at this age is pretty important. However, we were trying to look at, okay, how can we set up this summer? And this is really how I want you to look at your business. What is the long-term goal that you have in your business? I know for me, it's to live anywhere I want to. So whether I am in Maine on Deer Isle, which I've discovered almost 12 years ago now, and I am still smitten by it. And this is a place where I would love to spend a month of my summer. And knowing that I can cover all of the north part of the country where I could book speaking gig, go to networking event, and I can coach from anywhere. So that's a plus. And how can we do this kind of thing? So we actually did look at Airbnbs and where we would want to live for a month this summer, and how we could have my daughter and me driving back or her flying into New York. That way we can have her also experience some of these amazing things, like going to the opera. And none of my kids, out of my 3 kids, none of them are really have experienced New York City like I've experienced it with my fiance. He has lived there, and he really truly changed my mind about me living in a big city for a month at a time. And I think all of those kind of things are very important in business. Is how open are you to changes, and how open are you to be in different places. How is your business set up? Is it set up to be able to live your dreams, to be able to live your dream life? For us, my parents are not getting any younger, and half of the time they live in France, and half of the time they live in Martinique in the Caribbean, right across from St. Lucia, to give you a map idea of where they are in the Caribbean. But all of those, I know I can go for 2 weeks at a time and be able to coach from there, since everything that I do is operating from Zoom. Now, I always teach my clients that speaking is so important. So I just got an offer today, and this is the perfect example to be in Eau Claire. I want to say is Milwaukee or Wisconsin. No, I think it's in Wisconsin. Yes. And you got to forgive me here. I am foreign and I'm still learning. I know so much about the South, but I really don't know much about the North. And I'm trying to expand my business to the North. In the summer, what would be great is for me to be there. So when I got this offer yesterday. Let's make correct that, yesterday. And I was like, oh, okay, what cities are around? And let me see, on this day, I'm going to be there at the end of May. Where can I go, and what kind of other conferences are around, like in Minneapolis? What is there for me to be able to piggyback on? That's why I'm not just going there for one event. I'm going there maybe for a week or a week and a half, and really tagging on many other networking event or conference, women's conference, and anything was really related to business. And all these things are things that I teach my clients. Because when we have the opportunity to have speaking gigs and being in front of an audience of whether it's 3 or 4 people at a time, or like this past weekend, over 100 people, there is an amazing way to connect with people. They get to actually know you. They get to experience how you talk. I know for me, so many people are like, oh my gosh, she has an annoying accent. Some others are like, oh, I could hear her to talk for hours. And for some of you, I'm going to be your cup of tea. For some of you, you're going to tune out right now because you're like, her accent is a little bit too much for me. And that's okay. This is what it's all about. For me, when I chose my coach, I needed to choose someone who was so similar than me at the core. And I chose her that way. She was very spiritual. She was kind. She didn't cuss. She was able to take me to a level then I would never be here where I am today if it wasn't for her. I was able to relate to her. I was able to relate to the fact that her husband was working for a company, which me and my fiance is something that we are looking into the future. We are definitely setting up our companies. Then at some point we probably can merge both of the companies. He works a little bit more on the corporate side, and I'm definitely working mainly with women entrepreneurs. But one of the things who made me choose her was the similarity. Now, after I grew out a little bit of that, I needed someone who was a little bit more focused on business. And I chose another coach who was not so much on speaking, but who was more on business is business. Now, do I totally agree with this coach? No. Do I have the same kind of language than she used? Definitely not. However, this woman has also tremendously changed my life. And this is what I want you as an entrepreneur to look at is what can you get out of your coach? You have to be able to take some of the similarity where you feel you can totally relate, you can totally apply into your business. Yet some of the part that you don't like, you have to be able to put it aside. Nobody is going to be like you. And this is such a hard part. I think even more for women to understand because we want to find the perfect person who's going to be just exactly like us. Well, you know what? It is such a long journey who has taken me to pretty close to 50 years old to say there's nobody like me. And I am so proud of that now. I'm so proud of this authenticity that I have and the part then I can grab and take and learn and be coachable from other people who are not as much like me. However, we can learn from anybody. And this is really something that I took from my trip to New York City this past weekend. It was 5 days. I've learned so many different speakers, some that I totally didn't relate to. However, I learned from. I can tell you that in that conference, I learned from every single speaker something. Did I relate to every single one of them? No. Would I hire some of them? Yes. Because I could relate enough or know enough from them, from experiencing them from a stage? Yes. And this is why I tell my clients, speaking, being on a stage will give your prospects, your infinite supplies of leads, a chance to experience you, what you are about, what you are not about. And like I said at the beginning of this episode, I am not everybody's cup of tea. However, I know I work for some people. How do I know that? Well, I have plenty of clients. So this is really something I wanted to talk about. First of all, this amazing trip, which really made me realize that sometimes our preconception, whether it's from coaches or different cities or places who are such in a different world than what we thought. And for me, that was it. Never experienced New York City this way. Never had such a good bagel. Oh my gosh. It's been 2 days I'm home, and a couple of hours ago, I was still talking about why didn't we bring so many bagels home, and how do people from New York City really survive in the South without bagel and cream cheese were done so perfectly, surviving here. And yet I forget then over 25 years ago, I came to this country and I was like, how will I survive with no baguettes or no butter from Brittany? And all of these things are somewhat silly things that we talk about. However, they are so relative to our own person, to our own persona, to our own authenticity, and really to the way we teach business, the way we set up our business. And this is really something then we need to make sure we put a lot of thoughts of. It's not our business, guys. It's not just today. Our business is what is it going to be 5 years ago? And am I setting myself up for what it's going to be 10 years from today. Because really, 10 years from today, my youngest daughter, who's home right now at 14, is going to be 24. Will I be here in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, in this house? I honestly don't think so. Why? I love traveling. I love experiences, different culture, different spirituality, different ways, there's so many places in this world that I have not experienced. And I want to make sure that I set up my business already that way. And this is kind of the thought I want to leave you in today. Is your business, do you know why you have your business, number one? And second, is your business set up to live accordingly to this why? So this is my last thought for today. Again, this is Katia Rave with Learn Business from Brave to Rave. Why? Well, because it takes a brave person to have a business, to start a business. It is not for the faint of heart. It is hard work, and it takes leaps of faith to get it to a rave point.